More than 20,000 people were evacuated in Cagayan de Oro, one of the areas battered by Pablo. Primi Cane now joins us live from Cagayan de Oro for an update. Primi.
Tina, just like what happened in Sendong, the floodwaters only started to rise in
Philippine Red Cross Chairman and CEO Dick Gordon now joins us on the line. Hi, sir. Good morning to you.
The water will keep rising
Hi,
until
Good morning.
by up to 5 meters.
Senator, Chairman, how are things with the Red Cross? I know you've also been, the Red Cross has been on top of the situation, but it doesn't seem like enough help really.
Now, a powerful typhoon has been battering the southern Philippines, causing flooding and power cuts and forcing more than 40,000 people to leave their homes for emergency shelters. Let's get more now from our correspondent Kate McGowan, who is in Manila. I've seen some pretty awful pictures there. Kate, what's been happening in the last few hours?
Well, we're getting a clearer picture now.
All
The
the
typhoon
residents
has
of New
left
Bataan
the
could do
southern
was cry
island
for
of
help
Mindanao. It's
when the
more in the
rains from
central
Typhoon
part of the
Pablo brought
Philippines now.
floodwaters
We're
and
getting a
logs
clearer
crashing through
idea
their
of
town.
the damage that was caused in Mindanao. I've just been speaking to a journalist.
On Wednesday morning, the extent of the damage became clear. The tragedy can be seen everywhere you look. Schools buried in mud, damaged churches, and bridges rendered impassable by debris. Hundreds of families have sought shelter at a gymnasium, which serves as an evacuation center as well as a hospital. This is where survivors dug out of the mud were built. This is also where ambulances picked up patients that could not be treated by the limited supplies of drugs.
December 4, 2012, Typhoon Pablo, international name Bofa, made a landfall in southern Mindanao, Philippines, ravaging the provinces of Caraga, Agusan del Sur, Surigao del Sur, Compostela Valley, and Davao Oriental, affecting more than 6 million people, leaving more than 1,000 people dead and 800 missing. Almost 8,000 people are still struggling in the evacuation areas. The small island of Poo is located in Barangay Kinablangan, Maganga, Davao Oriental. It is one of the hardest hit areas during the onslaught of Typhoon Pablo. It was once a beautiful island, teeming with life and vibrancy.
Say gayon atong bagyo, sa sugod pa ang dagat nagbalod, nangandam nami. Ingon man ni akong amahan nga, pangandam na mo kay delikado ang panahon, kay basing daw ang hangin, mukusog. Mutong pagsugod sa hangin ang mga alas 8, ingon akong amahan nga, bakwit na ta. Mo to bakwit mi dito sa Kangria Beach, ang Agilon. Pag adto na mo dito, pag kusog sa hangin pag alas 10, ingon na ako nga man, bantay mo kay ang kaning balaya basig mahugmak. Pagkatataw ning hugmak man na di nang nagan mi dito sa baybay. Karon ka ang balod kay ming anak man, dagan na pud mi diri. Mo tong akong igtagsa na si Nini, ngiyang bata, nalabog sa iyang bana. Paglabog, murang bata nawadag panimot. Subay na po nila ang bata kay nawala man. Nakitaan ra pagkuhan nila sa bata, nakuha ng bata, nakulaps. Ginoanay nila, gipaak na nila ang tiil, yun sila para kuan ba nga makaginhawa. Pagkatagtaod, kaluyan ng bata. Murag ni recover, nakaginhawa. Itong pagka-hayag-hayag na po sa adlaw, mga alas 5 po siguro to. Pagkatagtaod, bali na po ng hangin na kinakusog-kusugan. Ang gusto ingon ako amahan nga. Dagan taan ni sa tunga, kay delikado ni diri kay daplin dagat. Didagan mi dito daplin sa eskwelahan tunga-tunga. Pag tagtaod kay kusog man ang hangin, cover na pud.
May kabalo atong kalit na naman tong siyagod na sa nagyuha. Kung wato na mo ang sa kasalan.
But after Super Typhoon Pablo, the island was turned into debris of destroyed houses and fallen trees. The once attractive island was suddenly turned into a barren and lifeless landmass. The experience of the community in the island of Poo is a vivid representation of the harshest conditions that the survivors have to face after Super Typhoon Pablo wrecked their homes, their sources of livelihood, and school.
Tumi sa eskwelahan kung an bakwit unya ni kuan ang kanang eskwelahan may nalupad ang sin. Natami sa ilalom niya ay gani kay pag nalinaw-linaw na mali na sa isa eskwelahan. Pag-abot naman pika eskwelahan wala na maansay ang dagat na po hintubo. Pagkatataw ni kuan ang tubig po. Ang mga bata ay nakalisod siya si kuan ang isa.
Nawa may duha ka anak. Nangatay man yung bagyong Pablo. Ahong na. Bahala mawa ng ahong tanang gamit, balay, basta kaya mga anak na alang. Duha ka anak na bae ug laki. Mawag na, mahulti. Malabik. Ang ginabuhi. Sa kabukan na ako binli. Sa karon murag murag kuway panghuna-huna nga usahan mingon ko nga di kong puyo diri pero taga diri man akong bana ingon kung naa pa mi kahoy nga nabilin gayud sa mong balay makapaindog unta na diri bisag gamay na lamang wa gayon way na pis sa bisag isa ka bukaligi kay dito man mi dapat bye-bye para isang unsa ba mo mao gani na nga ingon gani ko nga Zay, pasalamat po mi sa mga private nga masodere nga makatilaw migrasyon. Pero tong agi gayud nga naay sin gipanghatag na ay duha ka rasyon nga sa jikiki diha sa simbahan wa mi kadawat nga naman tana to mga bugas. Anja tong sa bagangga po nang hatag po og bugas. Wa gyapon mi kadawat adto kay wa kuno mi ticket. So pasalamat gyapon mi sa Ginoo nga gitagaan mi ikaduha nga kinabuhi. Bisag ingani na hitabo sa mong kinabuhi diri. So gusto gihapon namo nga di lami magsalig og mga tabang sa lain. Gusto namo nga bisag karon dayon anang anam-anam gayong makabangon mi sa among mga problema.
To date, assistance from the government remains very slow and with limited resources. Most of the people are still experiencing hunger, distress, and sickness. Fishing has been difficult since most of their fishing boats, nets, and other materials were swept away by the typhoon. Classes have been suspended since most of the classrooms were ravaged by the typhoon.
Di matukib ang kisibasiki ang pay mo na Ginoo ko. Yun na lang kung may istorya tayo. Ang Ginoo na sayo din. Yung isang gibakit. Kani ko magplando mo kani mabusito. Sa tubig yun na. Nalimang ka ng amo mga apo. Unom ka buok. Plus amo tulo. Siyam kami. Pero sige Ginoo. Ang Ginoo ay delikado. Sa Facebook?
Dili lang ni siya basta-basta nga trahedya na kung dili. Makaingon ko nga leksyon pud ni sa Ginoo nga nganong bisan sakit man daw ato ng Pablo pero mapasalamaton ta kay kuan kanang nabuhi pata then nakuhaan po na akong moral lesson si Pablo nga dapat dito na ako na feel nga ang tanang butang sa kalibutan is lumalabay lamang. So mintras nata sa kalibutan kinahanglan gihapon nga serbisyuan nato siya ana lang. Tapos maski man nawala ang balay, nawala ang mga importanteng mga gamit or unsa man, at least sa mga rasyon murag na hinahinay na siya balik gani gawa sa mga gamit or unsa. Basta importante kuan buo pa rin akong pamilya. Tapos pasalamaton ko kay kuan kanina ang basta malang to mintras na pa ko dire mo alagad ni sa iya.
In spite of the devastation, the people in Isla Poo are filled with hope and remain trustful to God's benevolence and fidelity. All they want is to rebuild and start anew. On January 11 to 12, 2013, the Franciscan family of Eastern Mindanao, composed of the OFS, OFM Capuchins, TOR, SFIC Sisters, members of the Secular Franciscan Order, Franciscan Youth, and lay associates, went to Isla Poo, Barangay Kinablangan, Maganga, Davao Oriental, to respond to the needs of the survivors of Super Typhoon Pablo. The group conducted relief operations, stress debriefing, and medical mission to the members of the community in the said area, particularly those who are residing in a small island. The Franciscans have also provided livelihood assistance to the said community by giving materials for fishing boats and nets. Committees in the 4 different baroques of Isla Poo were instituted to oversee the construction of the fishing boats and to make sure that the whole community benefits from the given assistance.
Ang akong ika-istorya bahin sa Franciscan Pablo. Ako yun namang pasalamat na diniyahan ko sila sa kahit saan makaabot sila din sa among lugar sa Maganga, sa sitio Lawis, Kinablangan, Maganga Davao Oriental. At ako kay sila gikatabang sa mga bahin sa mga managatan nga ilang gihatag kanamo. Nga ako usap kini nga kinasing-kasing nga pasalamat ang ilang gihatag makahatag ka na mo kadasig aron sa paghiusa o kaayuhan o paglambo sa amo ang sityo. So, daghang salamat sa Franciscan Fathers. Mabuhay kamong tanan.
So first of all, we came here really as an initiative of our congregation to collaborate with the Inter-Franciscan in Kidapawan and Davao, because we have already finished the 100 houses in Iligan, so we want to continue with whatever resources and donations we gathered. So for us, this is a continuing challenge to be in solidarity. And when I saw Poo Island, and of course Katil and yung Bataan, I realized it's much worse than Iligan. So we thought that we have to present this to the Enlargement Council. Even if they are not able to go there, at least whatever resources we can gather, we would like to help as much as we can. But also I think also to be able to see that this is not just one time involvement, but we have to be able, I think, to share also personal, even in short term. We discussed already with Pablo. But I realized that we have to do But also we have to, I think, to wake up the government who has received in a way a lot of resources given the regarding the natural calamities. I think it is at the heart of the Franciscan call, and it is one of the lines of action of our, not only the general chapter. So we took it up in the province. That's why we have an emergency desk. We have already did a lot of zero waste in communities. So we thought the help here is not just an economic or just to be able to give them something to survive or even housing. I think it is very much related to restore or even to, I think even to make the people realize that our kinship with creation. So when we do this, it is at the same time helping the poor, but helping restore what God has left as well. That in a way, maybe the project will help us address this twin objective, to help the poor in terms of housing and economic project. But I mean, little means of livelihood, but also to be able to, with them, to be able to see how they can care for creation, even if the government do it, but at least for us to do something. Because I think that is part of the trademark, the identity. That's what I think. It is for no reason that Francis was designated by John Paul II as ecology. I'm grateful.
The role of the church and religious groups has become more significant in reaching the underserved, hardest hit, and most vulnerable community after Typhoon Pablo and the continuing weather disturbances that hit southern Mindanao.
Pasalamat, Father, kay ka ng isagid mo nga naghatag o bali sinugdanan sa among pangabuhian. Sobra gyud namong pasalamat nga nakaabot mo sa among wala pa man gani tanahuman, pero sa sobrang pasalamat namo, dili gyud namo malimtan ang tanan ninyong nakaabot mo diri sa among lugar nga layo kaayo. Ya maura na inyong tuyo nagtabang mo sa amo na among ipaabot yun ang sobra namong pasalamat, labi na sa mga yung nato sa uban pang kadagkuan ni tabang sa amo karon. Daghang kayong salamat sa inyong tanan sa pagpadala ninyo sa mga Franciscan family diri sa amoa nga nakatabang sila sa among kalisod. Kay kami isa gyud mi sa pinaka number 1 nga naigo sa bagyong Pablo. So, sobra in behalf sa mga taga-dire, sobrang pasalamat yun sa mga fathers and sisters na nakaabot karon diri sa amoa. Daghang salamat yun sa tanan.
Our journey yesterday with the Franciscan family, with the OFM, the TOR, the SFO, and of course with my co-FMM, was a very challenging and enriching experience. Being with the people that were affected by the recent typhoon Pablo was for me an expression of solidarity with the people. I realized yesterday that we're living in a very isolated place, and I feel that government programs and services were not at hand to help the people, not to support the development of the people in that area. And I'm grateful that the OFM, especially those who have been involved yesterday, I'm grateful for the concern. I mean, reaching out to the people in a very isolated place is an expression of that the call of St. Francis to really reach out to the poor, and that is a very concrete example of that. And now I feel that the challenge is for us to continue what we have started. We've got to sustain the programs that we have, especially, and you mentioned about yesterday, economic reintegration of the people. And I feel that's very important. And another challenge is to come up with an integrated plan, a holistic developmental program for the people in that area. And this is a challenge for us Franciscans. Sana'y patuloy itong naumpisahan natin. And let's join hands to really make this a concrete, how do you call that has something to do with our charism and spirituality as Franciscan. And yeah, I think it's not only joining hands with the people, but also among us Franciscans. That is a very a strength, or we can start on, no? Kailangan we join hands together to be able to come up with a realistic program for them. So yun yung isang that, no? I think we have to work for environmental justice. Doon sa place as well as sa buong even in our whole country where we are, no? Kung saan tayo naka-assign. Very important we continue what we have started with Franciscans, protecting nature, protecting the whole environment, no? Especially ngayon, masyadong na ang kalikasan, so we need to really join hands, no, along that line. Environmental justice is very important. We cannot set it aside. That's part of our life as Franciscans. And we need to have concrete action along that line. No? Hindi lang yung nasa utak lang, nasa ba. Let's move on and fundraise how we can respond to ecological destruction and come up with a program for environmental justice.
Thank you.
Like to add, no, yung in our involvement doon sa Batamba, no? Of course, it has to continue. But we started now with economic reintegration. But this has to be integrated doon sa iba-ibang aspeto ng development ng community. So I feel that there is a need for organizing an education component na integrate doon sa program aside from the economic reintegration. And mabuild yung community, no? Kasi there is the capacity of the community. It's an intact community. And there are 500 families. And somehow, we can build a community wherein all aspects are really taken into consideration. No? And along that line, yung ecological justice integrated with the development of the people. So when you talk of ecology, it's not, and the environment, it's not separated from the people because the people are within the environment. So that is one thing. So it has to be a holistic approach. And I hope this is also one challenge for us who have been there, not to think of an integrated developmental program for the people. And with all aspects are taken into consideration. Spiritual, economic, social, psychological, everything, and ecological. So,
be in solidarity with the little ones of society, like the rural poor and the fisher folk, who are the ones who suffer most the brunt of natural calamities, is a fundamental aspect of our Franciscan identity. Our spirituality calls us to become the servants and subjects of all.
Ay unang-una kahatag mo og dugang sa mga kinabuhian sa Isla Poo. So wala ni kabutang nakalipay kung ni kanya naghatag mo gayon sa kinasingkasing gayon. So amo ipaabot ang dako ng sa langan. Why kinatulong sila para sa natong nga dili mo pulan mo pagbalik-balik sa mga paghatag nga na gihapon dugang para mabuhi. So Thank you guys.
Isang Franciscano, secular Franciscan order, naging makahulugan pa ang pagiging Franciscano ko na ako'y tumalaw sa Baganga at makapili ang ating mga kapatid na nawawala ng pag-asa dahil nasa panahon ng pagipitan o kalungkutan. Bilang isang facilitator ng debriefing committee, napagtanto ko na napakalaki pala ng role ng isang guidance counselor, lalong-lalo na sa mga kabataan na nakadaras ng iba't ibang trauma. Bilang isang Franciscano, doon ko nakita na maiintindihan mo pala ang kalagayan ng isang bata, naiintindihan mo ang kalagayan ng mga taong nasa paligid mo, at nabibigyan mo pa ng kahulugan yung mga nasa Ebanghelyo na kung sila ay nabuhay, kumain ka please, even to say na you are really practicing what is stated in the gospel. So this gives me a deeper reflection that being Franciscan is not solely in our own home, in our own comfort zone, but to be with those who need us most.
The work for social justice is parallel and closely linked to the work of protecting the integrity of creation. The suffering of so many, especially those who are most vulnerable, concerns us deeply.
This is the most unexpected thing that happened to us, especially here in Davao Peninsula, kasi we never have experienced this kind of calamity. Nonetheless, it is expected given yung climate change talaga natin ngayon, so it's not something very strange, it's not really very surprising. But what surprises us all, of course, because yung unpreparedness ng mga tao. Kasi they have always banked on the fact that that never happened to them before. So it could not happen now. And that's the result of unpreparedness. Nasa puso naman natin as Franciscans na talagang we respond to calamities like this, because we carry very much the spirit of St. Francis, of course, concern for the poor, especially those who are most affected by these calamities. When we look at that situation, sinasabi natin na always the ones who are most affected by this are the poor people. But if we look at the bigger context, actually what is happening is the way we ravage our earth, our Mother Earth. And of course, the most natural people who will suffer from this are the poor, because they are the ones who are living in the, mga liblib na lugar ba. And it's difficult for them in case of calamities like this to really help themselves. They will depend very much on others. So, since science is already telling us that this is a phenomenon that's going to not to abate in the next millennium, not in the next years, because of what is happening to the emittance of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. So these calamities can be expected, and the more we are prepared for it, the better it should be. And well, definitely it's no longer just a matter of how you call this, patch and yung mga instant things, it's rather that we have to be prepared to handle this situation. So if our approach before has always been kind of how do you call that kind of approach? Respond when the thing is there. Now, it's much incumbent on us to have disaster preparedness. So it will entail education on a community level. It will entail massive education of people. It will entail that we will look at also what science is telling us in regard to this reality, because it's true, this is all predicted, but we don't take it, I mean, we take it for granted many times, and we need to prepare ourselves for it. But as Franciscans, it is a very natural thing for us to respond to this thing, and of course, we are not just concerned with the plight of our poor people, we are concerned with having to restore the integrity of Mother Earth, because it's suffering a lot from all the cruelties that we inflict upon her. And so it will need even more massive education on our side. It will need greater organizations and pooling the resources of different people, and also preparing our people for eventualities. This is no longer something we can escape from. This is a reality that is before our very eyes. So I think this is what is incumbent on us, to really listen to the plight of the earth and to listen to the plight of our people. I think that's it.
I would like to elaborate the 2 points here that we have in this interview. The first one is to explain the Franciscan view of creation. Second one is what should be the concrete response to the current ecological crisis as Franciscans. Crisis like the manifestations of the calamities that we experience today, like Pablo, the typhoon Pablo. I will start with the number 1 point, and that is the Franciscan view of creation. Our view of creation, our charism, our attitudes as Franciscans should be based on St. Francis's example, his life, and his spirituality. So if you will ask me, what view should have a Franciscan on creation, I would point out always, and I would point you to the Franciscan canticle, a canticle that St. Francis formulated and sung. It's like a song for him. And this is the Canticle of Brother Sun. The few beginning verses I would just read to you, and it would start with Most High, All-Powerful, Good Lord, who is the fullness of good, as powerful good Lord. Be praised to you, my Lord, with all your creatures, especially Sir Brother Sun, who is the day and through whom you gave us light. And he is beautiful and radiant with great splendor, and bears a likeness of you, Most High One. Praise be you, my Lord, through sister moon and the stars in heaven. You formed them clear and precious and beautiful. These are the beginning stanzas of this canticle of Brother Sun. From these words and song of St. Francis, we can already see how St. Francis view creation. Number 1, creation is revelatory of God, meaning that creation is like a scripture. It shows us, it introduces us to who God is and what God is. And therefore, creation should be regarded as a sign, a sacrament of this God who is the source of all existence and life. So creation for us Franciscans is like, it is sacred but not really divine. Meaning that it is like a scripture, we reverence it. We give due respect. We give love because it is, number one, it is God's creation. Number two, it is good because it comes from God. And number three, it reveals, it proclaims who God is. So it's very, very important. And in his words and his song, St. Francis would always look at the relational side of creation. That creation brings us to God and we can connect with creation in order to connect to God. So therefore, this creation for Franciscans is a venue, a stage, a place, a locus to meet God, to relate with God, and to relate with other creatures. In creation, according to Saint Bonaventure, and very highly regarded theologian in medieval age and the follower of St. Francis, in creation we can see the image of God, because creation is the vestige, the footprint, and it reveals who God is. First of all, to respond to this ecological crisis, we have to examine our values. First, I would say there should be a value formation in our people and also in our young youth. Looking at this view of creation as the result of God's relationship inside of himself, and as well as the outflow of that relationship, which becomes the creation of creatures and the existence and the life of creatures. We have to develop this value formation. We need to develop long-term values to respect and love our creation. We go beyond borders with relationships in loving our other creatures, not only human beings but non-human being creatures and the whole of creation. And so we have this ongoing formation and renewal of our people on first understanding, updating the understanding of what is going on with our natural world, the ecological understanding and values, and then respect and love of the natural environment of our other creatures. We have to develop our correct relationship with creation and other human beings, our correct relationship with God, our correct relationship with non-human creatures and the whole of creation. And the third one is that we should look at the short terms also, short terms response that we have. Looking at the term response that we have, and nowadays we would say that our response is more of a reactive response instead of responsive kind of response. No, we only respond or react after there is a calamity, and all this. The lack of formation of values long term, the lack of long-term structure is also seen today in our response, especially in the calamities like Pablo. So we speak our short-term response should be more a long-term and more a responsive kind of a response. No? that even when there is not yet a calamity, we should already be prepared before calamity will come, and we should gather already all things needed, and also the values that we have formed in the young and in our people. So, and there are other kind of responses, Franciscans. First, we should speak out of the and to denounce any injustice and corruption and destruction of natural environment. Second, be a person who is friendly and relational as a Franciscan. And third, help organize people and involve in helping people to unite and to support each other in the difficult situation. This is the relational side. When we commune, we feel and we are involved with other people, gathering ourselves into one. And fourth, humbly always be a good example for others wherever we are. And then the last one that we would say, have faith in all that we do, because we know that this is God's work. And so I would add, I would summarize the whole thing here as response. Should we focus on a long-term formation of values, ecological values, understanding our natural world, love and respect, frugality, simplicity as Franciscans. And we should be more responsive rather than just reactive. Long-term structure should be formulated or formed in order to respond to this ecological crisis.